Hello students, welcome, and today we will discuss a line graph. So this is from IELTS 18. The question states, the graph below gives information about the percentage of the population in 4 Asian countries living in cities from 1970 to 2020 with predictions for 2030 and 2040. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. Now, as you can see, it talks about percentage of people living in cities. Okay, you've got 1970, 80, 90, 2000, 2010, 2020, 30, and 40. So currently we are in 2023, right? So we've got predictions for 2030 and 2040. These are predicted years. These are years that have not come yet. So we have got predictions for this as well. Okay, data predicted. Okay, so you can see that for the years 2030 and 2040 data has been predicted, while between 1970 and 2020 is the era that we already know about. So let's begin how we can write the introduction. So introduction. In the introduction we can say that the line graph showcases what? The line graph showcases the changing city population proportion in 4 countries: Philippines, Malaysia, Thailand, and Indonesia. The synonym for percentage is proportions from 1970 to 2020 with the forecast for 2030 and 2040. So in introduction we can say the line graph showcases or shows, you can also say, the changing city population proportions in 4 Asian countries. They are all in Asia: Philippines, Malaysia, Thailand, and Indonesia from 1970 to 2020 with the forecast for 2030 and 2040 with the forecast for the year 2030 and 2040. Okay, now let's come on to the overall. Now overall what we can see that for all the countries there is a notable increase in the city population. See, for example, here in Indonesia the graph is rising, same for Thailand, same for Philippines, and the same for Malaysia as well. Also in the years 2030 and 2040 the trend will continue. Okay, also if you can see, Malaysia is the highest here. Malaysia is at the top. Look at the key, is at the highest. So we can write overview. Overall it can be seen that there has been a notable increase in the percent of population living in the urban center in all 4 countries. Okay, and this trend is set to continue. Look at here, all of these countries the proportion is rising. For example, here with Indonesia you can see it starts at around 14% and ends at above 50%. Okay, the same goes for all the countries, and this trend is forecasted to continue in the future. Okay, also among the 4 nations, Malaysia emerges to be the leader. It is the leader, right? Here Malaysia is the leader. You see, starts at around, it starts at 30% and ends at above 80%. It emerges to be the leader with the highest proportion of city residents when compared to others. Okay, now let's look at body paragraph 1. In body paragraph 1 we will discuss from 1970 to 2020. Okay, while in body paragraph 2 we shall discuss between 2030 and 2040. Okay, in 1970 approximately 30%. If you see here closely, we have the black square and the triangular, kind of like a triangular box for Philippines and Malaysia. So Philippines and Malaysia started with around 30%. Okay, while Thailand and Indonesia started around, looked between 15% and 17% at the start. So let's look at Philippines and Malaysia first. We can see that Philippines and Malaysia in 1970 approximately 30% of the populace or the population in both Philippines and Malaysia were urbanites. People living in city are called urbanites. By 2020 in Malaysia it was above 70%, while for Philippines it was around 40%. Okay, for Thailand it started at around 20%, By 2020, it had a marginal increase. Yeah, it went around 25%. While for Indonesia, it started around 15%. But by 2020, it shot up at around 50%. So let's see how we can write this. In 1970, approximately 30% of the populace, which is a synonym for population of Malaysia and Philippines, were urbanized. By 2020, it shot up at around 80%, while for the Philippines, it fluctuated. You see here, for the Philippines, it kind of fluctuated. Graph went up and then down. Okay, it went up to around 50% also, and then went down and then went back up again. Malaysia experienced substantial growth with the city population shooting means increasing up to 80%, while the Philippines had fluctuated between 30 and 50%. Now let's look at Thailand and Indonesia. For Thailand, it started at around 20% and then increased up to 25%, we can say. While for Indonesia, it started at around 15%, and by 2020, it was at just above 50%. So here, okay. So Thailand had nearly 20% of its population in cities in 1970, whereas Indonesia had about 15%. However, we saw that Indonesia's cities population had surpassed 50%, while Thailand had reached about 30%. However, Indonesia city population surpassed 50% by 2020, while Thailand had reached about 30%. Now let's look into the future. What we can see. Looking at all the countries, we can safely say that the percentage of people living in cities will increase. Okay, we already know that. Let's start with Philippines first. In 2020, it was around 40%. Okay, and it will increase to around 50%. The same case goes for Malaysia. It was around 75%. It will increase to above 80%. With Thailand, the same case will happen. It started at around 30% and will increase by 2040 to 40%. While for Indonesia, the same trend will continue. For Indonesia, we had around 50% and this will increase up to around 60%. So looking at the projections, there will be more number of people residing in cities. There will be more number of people residing means living in cities in all four countries. And this is your body paragraph 2. Body paragraph 2. Okay, so it is predicted that Malaysia will have, lay the emphasis on will, it's a future tense, will have the largest percentage of city residents at about 85%, and the second would be Indonesia, followed by Indonesia, and the third spot will be occupied by Philippines, yes, and fourth spot is Thailand. Okay, so we can write followed by Indonesia, which is around 65%. Furthermore, Philippines and Thailand will have around 50 and 45%. Furthermore, Philippines and Thailand are estimated to have approximately 50 and 45% of what urban inhabitants respectively. Okay, so this concludes your writing task 1. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you learned a lot. Thank you for watching this video and I will see you in the next one. Bye. So if you like this video, please make sure to hit the like and subscribe button